Thousands of people are making their way home for Christmas. Many different modes of transport are being used, but the most affordable for many is taxis. Now, for many years, taxis have been blamed for overloading and not always being roadworthy. Just yesterday, Transport Minister Blade Nzimande said 34 minibus taxis have been involved in fatal crashes so far this holiday season. Let's take you live now to the Wanderers taxi rank. That's where our reporter Masego Rahlaga is joining us. Masego, we're just looking at those bus passengers finally making their way onto those buses as that strike came to an end. At the Wanderers taxi rank, are people safely getting on board, going off to their various holiday destinations?
Good morning, Michelle. Well, wow, the Wanderers taxi rank, actually, I didn't think that it would be this busy, to be honest with you, Michelle. It is so busy, and it's one of the only taxi ranks in Johannesburg that take people very far away. For instance, behind me, and I'll just move just a little bit for you, Michelle. Behind me over there is a board that says, for people going to Gaborone. That is about 5 hours away from here in Botswana, for instance. There are people who go to places such as Zimbabwe. So cross-border and all our neighboring countries, Michelle, Lesotho, you can find a taxi to Lesotho here if you're from Lesotho and you need to go home for Christmas. You can find a taxi to Swaziland from this taxi rank if you need to go home this Christmas. And we've seen people, there is nobody here, Michelle, who is not carrying a load of luggage. So people are going home, they're taking presents. And actually, we've seen people actually take business opportunities because of this. Besides the taxis, there are people, for instance, and I'm just going to ask my colleague Leopo to pan just a little bit that way. Just behind me, as soon as this taxi goes by, you'll see trailers. So people are able to even hire trailers and share, the amount for the trailers to wherever they're going. If probably the taxi driver feels as though the luggage inside his taxi is too much and that they need to be comfortable, of course. I mean, if you're going to a place such as Botswana, Michelle, you can't have a bag on your lap the entire time. You do need to stretch a little bit. So then the passengers would discuss sharing the amount of money to hire that trailer. There are people who've taken business ideas also, Michelle. I've seen people who've actually made makeshift trolleys that are taking people from wherever they're getting off. If it's far away from this taxi rank, they take your luggage. There was a woman who she just had too much luggage to be able to carry it all by herself. So there are people who take those. And I'm just going to ask Leopo, well, I think we're a bit too late, but I just saw one of the guys that is carrying a trolley like that, and another one will actually be going past us just now. He's going the other way, and he's helping a woman carry her bags, for instance, to the taxis from wherever she was with his makeshift trolley, and they charge about 50 Rand, Michelle. For instance, if you get off at Noord taxi rank, which is a bit down the road from here at the Wanderers, you would find people like that who would be able to take your luggage and bring you all the way here to the Wanderers. And so that's what we're seeing here this morning, Michelle. Like I said, I didn't expect it to be this busy, but of course, we are approaching Christmas, and a lot of people, just like last week, are making their way home today.
Yeah, absolutely. Masego, just yesterday we were listening to the Transport Minister talking about the issue of overloaded taxis on the country's roads. He talked about 34 minibus taxis involved in fatal crashes this festive season. And he suggested, in fact, he said it should be legislated that there should be two drivers, particularly on these long-distance trips, two drivers to share the load, to share the driving, and to take turns in terms of resting. I don't know if you've had a chance to speak to those taxi drivers, but does it seem to you that those kinds of tips are being taken on board?
I've been able to speak to some taxi associations here, and I actually spoke to other taxi associations in other parts of Johannesburg yesterday, and they actually agree, along with the Johannesburg Metro Police Department, saying that it should be a rule, not only for taxis, actually, Michelle, for other modes of transport, just such as buses, especially if you're going as far as, for instance, Swaziland. That is a very long drive, and so, there's been those suggestions that, it's made legal or rather it's made illegal to only have one driver leaving Johannesburg to go all the way to another country, cross-border, for instance, Michelle. And for instance, we also found out, like you're saying, there is a lot of overloading and taxis that are, involved in fatal accidents, very fatal accidents. And those videos, Michelle, that we've seen, for instance, of taxi drivers just being reckless and going into oncoming traffic. I mean, the horror stories that we keep hearing about people in the taxi industry. But funny enough, when I spoke to Wayne Minnar yesterday of the Johannesburg Metro Police Department, he says taxis only contribute 12% of the road carnage in South Africa, or maybe rather in Johannesburg only, during the festive season and other holidays such as Easter. But of course, you have to look at the fact that there are obviously millions more cars than there are taxis on our roads. So 12% is also a little too much. If I would actually jump in there, I would say that one death is one death too many, like government always says. But there's also the appeal from the JMPD, for instance, for government to also speak to the NPA, for instance, and the courts to make sure that they implement harsher sentences for such road carnage, and for taxi drivers that are found to have overloaded their taxis and put passengers in danger, and also taxis that are not roadworthy, things like that. There's a lot of appeals actually to have more stringent measures against taxi drivers and other motorists who are found wanting on the roads.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, thanks very much for that update. Masego Rahlaga is live to us there from the Wanderers taxi rank this morning. She says it's incredibly busy. You can see people getting onto taxis heading off for the holiday season.